Welcome to the Dag Code Podcast. This is DDS, where real fans come for real sports talk and no BS. We are your hosts, Blake Melton and Bradley Newberry. Matthew Parker is on vacation. What's up, dude?
Man, NFL reaction, Jags suck. GD it.
Oh boy.
That's
Do we ever have stuff to react to?
That is my reaction. But we appreciate you joining us here for our NFL reaction show.
Yep.
We're going to jump into the Titans' 25-16 victory over the Colts. They improved to 2-1. The Colts fall to 0-3. Hooray. That's what we all wanted. But first, let's talk about Taylor Lewan. From Parker himself. Let me read this to everyone first. Quote, I think it is ridiculous that the fans booed Taylor Lewan. You can't boo someone for an injury. He's coming off of a major surgery. So when he responds emotionally, I'm fine with it. We can't love it when he plays with extreme emotion, gets people fired up, pancakes someone into the ground, and then we get our panties in a wad when he responds to booing emotionally. He's always been a fiery player. We can't pick and choose when we want him to use that emotion. Also, I think he played pretty well this week. That was straight from Matthew Parker. My take is he just comes across as he's kind of butthurt a little bit, saying that the crowd booing him was hurtful. And after 7 or 8 years with the Titans, he'll never forget this. Like he's going to hold a grudge now. I don't like it.
Taylor. Let Daddy talk to you here a little bit. So again, Taylor, I like you, dude. I like you as a guy. He's probably the kind of guy you want to go have a beer with, you want to hang out with, be your friend.
I'd like him to sit right here.
Yeah, I'd love for you to come on the show.
Football.
I'd love to come on your show.
Let's talk football.
Look, man, but this is the thing. You're an offensive lineman. You want to know what I was really hoping for this week? Was that we weren't going to mention your name. You're an offensive lineman. There's no reason for me to be talking about you right now. And if I am talking about you right now, it's because of something not good. Like it's either an injury or you've done something to hurt the team or you're doing something, some kind of grandstanding thing to get attention, or unfortunately in this situation, you're being a little bitch. Look, man, I know you're coming back from an ACL injury. Yeah, that's a hard recovery. This guy over here had an ACL injury. He knows how hard it was. But look, man, no one's hating on you because of your ACL injury.
Nope.
You have branded yourself almost as the anti-hero. You're our guy, but you're the bad boy out there. Guess what? There's a good side and a bad side to that. You're going to rub some people the wrong way, particularly when you do things to hurt the team. And particularly when you get out here and you tell everybody that, you're never going to forget the fans turning on you. Dude, they're not turning on you. This is the consequence of what you've built while you've been with the Titans. If you're going to be the bad boy, you're going to get booed. That doesn't mean they don't love you. That just means that they're reacting to how you've acted lately. And that's what the NFL is. It's a meritocracy. What have you done for me lately? You're a great offensive lineman, but occasionally you do shit that hurts the team. You do a lot of shit that helps the team too. Look, man, no one wants to talk about an offensive lineman on Monday. It's never a good story. It's never a positive story. I think you are probably one of the more dominant left tackles whenever you just shut up and play. And this is Dad talking to you here. You got to get out there and just play. Going out there and whipping ass and pancaking folks solves all your problems. That's all I got to say about that.
And let me add something a little bit, because I'm a lot like you, I believe. I like to be the villain in a lot of ways. So if I'm running out to 65, 70,000 people booing me, I love it. Embrace it.
It's energy.
Let that feed you.
Mm-hmm.
Go out there and pancake someone harder.
Yeah.
Pancake more people. Use that energy from the
Yeah.
Titans fans. He mentioned they don't all hate.
Mm-mm.
They just don't like what's coming from you right now. All the words, the actions or lack thereof. That boo doesn't erase 7 to 8 years, like you said.
Yeah.
It's just what's going on now, but use the boos to power yourself, man. I mean, that's what us as villains, that's what we like.
Yeah.
We should be getting energy from the boos. Be like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to use that to stick it to them. I'm about to block Josh Allen from the Jags into the locker room.
That's what I'm saying, man. Dude, if you come out next week and you absolutely maul some folks, clear a few piles without getting penalties.
No penalties.
Without getting penalties.
Don't be
Those
selfish.
are things that hurt the team.
Don't be selfish.
As Mike Vrabel calls it, that's dumb shit that hurts the team. But if you are that nasty guy that's got all your players back, look, everybody loved you whenever you had Marcus Mariota's back, whenever everybody tried to, tee off on him whenever he would get outside the pocket.
I didn't hear anybody.
They loved that.
I didn't hear anybody booing you when you were holding a catfish at the Predators playoff game and drinking beer. People love that.
All I'm telling you to do is exactly what he said. Take that energy. They're giving you what you think they think you want, dude. They think they view you as this anti-hero that is going to take that negative energy and turn it into just energy to just shove to people. Because, dude, I mean, you obviously have the ability to do it. I know your injury's been hard to recover from. He knows. He had a torn ACL whenever he was playing back in the day. So I know it's a long recovery. I know you're struggling with it a little bit. Hey, you had a little hiccup there in week 2. It's all good, man. It's all good. Hey, do whatever you got to do. Keep your mouth shut. As the old saying goes, let your playing do the talking.
Yeah. The Titans did some playing.
Yeah, they did.
We can get to them here. They came out and, dare I say, played a little bit of Titans football here. 25-16. They had a quarterback coming into town with basically no feet. The Colts had no other choice. This is absolutely proving to me that the Colts coaching staff, the management, they absolutely hate, with a capital H, everything that they have behind Carson Wentz. How can they even love Carson Wentz at this point? But, pick your poison. That's the best that they had to roll out there against the Titans. Do you see anything in the box score that stands out? I mean, I called out. Can you cover Hines? Hines shows up with a touchdown again this week.
I mean, I agree with you on the Carson Wentz stuff because I'm looking at that. I'm like, dude, this is the best they got to roll out there.
That's it.
I mean,
and that's why they're 0-3.
This score is actually not even indicative of what kind of game it was. This was not a close game. I know that the scoreboard says it was a 9-point game, but I mean, a lot of that was due to some turnovers, some ridiculous turnovers that were made. I think they had 2 interceptions and 1 lost fumble. But I don't see anything that shows me that the Colts have any confidence in anything behind Carson Wentz. Like you said, dude, he looked like a freaking 97-year-old grandpa out there trying to throw the ball. He could not move. And honestly, he didn't have much time. So that was a bad combination to have a guy with 2 bum ankles back there, which is ridiculous, by the way, to have 2 bum ankles. But
the offensive line from Indianapolis has been a sore spot.
It's been a bust, right?
Because everyone around the NFL just talking about it, they're like, look, this may be one of the best offensive line units that we've seen ever.
Mm-hmm.
But it's proven over the first 3 weeks that there's not much there. I mean, maybe there's some injuries playing along with it with Nelson in and out of the lineup, but it hasn't lived up to the billing, dude.
No, not at all. I mean, that was what I was saying. It was not an impressive outing by the offensive line on the Indianapolis Colts side. It wasn't an impressive game on the Indianapolis side at all. I mean, how many yards total did they have? Well, they have 265 yards. I don't think you can win a game in the NFL with 265 yards total offense.
Unless something crazy is happening on special
teams. It has to be, there has to be special team stuff. There has to be defensive, touchdowns being made and things like that. But I mean, I'll tell you this. I mean, the Tennessee defensive line seemed like they got some pressure up front. They didn't get. I don't see. Did anybody get a sack? Yeah, one guy did. I can't even pronounce that. Number 92
He had
1.5 sacks. He shared one with Harold Landry, and particularly against the Tennessee, front four. That's not that impressive because historically they're just not a very good pass rushing team. So I am looking at this and I'm just saying, man, this was, and there were some decisions made by the Titans in the game that, made me think that the Titans were not threatened at all at any point because, we'll talk about this here in a second.
Yeah, we'll get there. I'm going to speak on the Colts defense just a little bit. They caused 3 total turnovers in the game. I believe 2 of those were Tannehill picks. One was just ridiculous, like you said, and one was wide receiver issues. But so the defense is still making some things happen, led by their linebacker Leonard. Parker says, and I quote, "Titans can't keep winning like this while losing the turnover battle." So he has some concerns about the turnover ratio. Usually, if you're losing the turnover ratio, it usually equates to you're not winning games. But so there's some concern there. Need to clean it up a little bit. He does like the cornerback Christian Fulton. He thought that he looked really good.
Yeah, he did.
A top 20 cornerback according to PFF. But I'm all right. I'm ready to touch on it. I'm watching this game during breaks of my game, and I'm like, where's Julio? Why do I see Julio Jones standing on the sideline? Because I thought maybe I missed something because I don't watch it snap to snap because I'm watching the Jags, but I didn't find an injury. I see in the box score it was 3 catches for 47 yards, and I thought this was going to be a bigger game for him.
Yeah, I was trying to pull it up here. But Mike Vrabel made a comment on that because like everybody else, I was like, did he get hurt? Where is he at? He didn't play the entire fourth quarter. A.J. Brown went out with just some kind of a little tweak. Let me read here from the Tennessean, from Gentry Estes' article here from the Tennessean. Vrabel on Julio Jones, Vrabel spoke about trying to manage where he is at during the game in which receivers were going to be in there trying to dig safeties out. Jones is considered one of the best blocking receivers in football, by the way. Vrabel complimented him for that exact thing in week 2 win over Seattle. So, the point is he's saying that he was trying to basically, manage his workload. And he also said on Monday, Vrabel cleared it up, saying that Jones had something get tight physically and that Vrabel felt it was best to rest him.
What was that? Your throat getting tight? You can't handle pressure situations here. We're paying teams, not just the Titans, but teams typically pay their all-star, all-pro players to be there in the fourth quarter when the game actually counts.
Yeah, so, and that's the discussion, right? And, was Vrabel – so Vrabel's nickname here in Middle Tennessee is Vrayballs because he's a ballsy coach. He does a lot of things that a lot of people think are unorthodox. And I think could this be one of those things where it's like, I don't feel like we're really in any danger here with this Indianapolis Colts team. So I'm not going to risk, A.J. Brown's already gone out with a little tweak. I'm not risking my other, prized horse on the outside getting hurt because he actually is feeling a tightness or a twinge or something in there. I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence here about how I feel about this. My gut feeling is that even if you aren't feeling in danger, I think that's better because I think there's less pressure on Julio to feel like he has to do something tremendous. It's a good way to get some reps, in my opinion.
Parker adds, and I quote, 2 out of the first 3 games, the top receiver for the Titans has not been Jones or Brown, and they're still winning. When those guys get going, this offense is going to be scary, is what he adds. But 3 weeks into it, That's a lot of money. Gosh, that's a lot of money. And I hate your GM.
Well, and you look at the turnover, the 2 interceptions. One of them looked like a bad pass from Tannehill, but did the receiver run the right route? And then the other one, it absolutely hit the guy right in the freaking hands and just bounced straight up in the air. So, I mean, and to your point, like you told me earlier when we were discussing this, that's why you want Julio in there. He's that guy. He just snatches the ball right out of the air.
Go run 10 yards and turn around.
So
catch it.
But, again, I can see if that's really what Vrabel was trying to do. I can see what he was thinking. Old Vrabels. Maybe this is just another one of his Vrabelisms. I have no idea. So you touched on AJ Brown and the injury, but you feel like there's no reason to be concerned, right? I don't. I'll look at it here, but I don't think that it's anything too crazy. So last week we were concerned about Skillets. We predicted as a panel that he'd come back this week, and then this unfortunate injury, he didn't get a chance to quote unquote come back. I'm hoping the injury is nothing, or maybe just that week type of thing. But it says that he is week to week is what they're calling it. So there's a chance that he may not be available. All right, let's get real. They're playing the Jets this week. Rest him. Yeah, this is a 17-game season. Rest him. I think that is kind of what they're looking at. Yeah. I think they're probably going to use this as an opportunity to get some more out of Julio. I mean, this is why, if you're going to go get Julio, if you're going to give up the right tackle, if you're going to give up all the tight ends, this is what you got him for, right? That way, if AJ goes down, you're not without, a good receiver. So, I mean, again, though, it is the Jets. Yeah, I say rest him. So we're not really that concerned, it sounds like, about A.J. Brown's injury situation. That should be short term. Are there any concerns about Tannehill and his play, or was it just kind of fluky? He's trying to do too much in a game against the Colts. Man, I don't have a lot of concern with Tannehill, honestly, at this point. I mean, even with the 2 interceptions, 18 to 27, I mean, it's not terrible numbers. He had 3 touchdowns. I think he may look, if you take the 1 interception that bounced off the receiver's hands, and that's tough. There should almost be a different stat column for that. My quarterback, you'll hear about it in just a minute. Yeah. Had one of those too. Yeah. And I mean, the bottom line is they just bullied them. Hey, Titans football, right? Yeah, that's who they are. And Lawan, you're a part of that. Exactly. You're the lead bully. So I mean, they pushed him around on the ground, and outside of those 2 picks, which one of them wasn't his fault. I mean, he managed the game well, and if we wouldn't have fumbled the ball after a reception, then this might have been a 35-point situation for the Titans. It was a good job, though. I mean, this was a fantastic Sunday for all of you Titans fans out there. You get the straight up victory over the Colts, and the Jaguars and the Texans both lose. What a week to set yourself apart. Mm-hmm. And that's what we were begging for right here on this panel. It should be a Titans week. Yeah. And I'm not even a Titans fan, but I'm like, look, we got to use this week to take that momentum that you had from Seattle. You're at home. Go ahead and throat stomp the Colts. That's what we've been. Honestly, that's what the Titans have never been able to do, is put their boot on the throat of their division rivals. And you did it. And honestly, they needed to do that against Indianapolis for a multitude of reasons, for mental reasons, just because there's been that block there for so long. That is an AFC South team that got it done, but now transitioning to an AFC South that has yet to get it done. And I believe now with this loss, they have lost 18 straight games. We're talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars. They fall to 0-3 after losing to the Cardinals 31-19. But I would argue, because I watched every play, of course, this score doesn't really tell the story, folks. The Jaguars were in this game, and in this game a long time. There were some fluky things that we're going to talk about.
coaching decisions that we're going to talk about, honestly, on both sides. Arizona had a horrible one. The Jaguars continue to not know how to run this offense. But I go straight to Kyler Murray. I mean, he's the lightning rod of this Arizona Cardinals team. Okay. So the Jacksonville Jaguars are low part of the NFL. No one trusts their defense, but he was held to 316, no touchdowns, 1 interception, and only 19 yards rushing.
Isn't it crazy how we're saying held to 300? But this year in the NFL, it's like 300 yards passing is like bare minimum to be considered an elite quarterback these days. But you're right. I mean, they never really got the ground game established, which that seems to be a trend also this year in the NFL. But yeah, I agree. You and I talked about it a lot off air. Man, the coaching decisions and the system that they're trying to implement here in Jacksonville is, I don't get it, dude. I don't. Why would you try to do this against NFL defenses? And I mean, it's proving that it's not going to work. So
it's not working.
I mean, you look at it, 4 turnovers, 2 fumbles, 2 interceptions. I mean, the only play that I admittedly saw was the flea flicker. And I'm not a Jacksonville fan, but I was embarrassed for them. I could see it in Trevor Lawrence's body language. He did not want to run that play. Because, he realized how fluky it was.
So the first pick was kind of a gut buster. They're inside the 25 going in. Mm-hmm. And it hits the tight end right in the chest. And it's one of those that hits him, and instead of catching the ball, he pops it up. So anytime you see the ball kind of get tipped up, that's danger. Hits him right in the hand, pops it up, and it's an easy pick. Can't put that on Trevor Lawrence. And you know what? No. I'm not even going to put the second one on Trevor Lawrence, because why in the world are you running a flea flicker from the 10-yard, your own 10-yard line? This is a play draw that, if you're going to use it at all, should have been at the 50.
Yeah.
You're not back here in your own zone. Look, what you've got to remember is on a flea flicker, you have to have the illusion of run.
Yeah.
So the offensive line takes a half a second to act like they're stopping to block. They're not blocking anymore to sell that illusion. Trevor Lawrence does the play fake thing. The offensive line kind of does the hesitation like they're supposed to. DJ Chark is running past everyone, but he's at about a 40 to 60 yard clip way down the field.
Yeah.
But remember, you have to have that stop of blocking.
Yeah.
So they're coming free. His emergency out was where he threw it. If he had time.
Yeah, he saw that this play was blown up. There's no way this is happening.
So if he had time to step up, he could have thrown it 60 yards, and DJ Chark was wide open on that play. But there's no time here. So he immediately, smartly, he thought, okay,
outlet.
Check. Yeah. I got to get to my check.
Yeah.
The only thing that he could have done better was just throw the damn ball away.
I mean, did he have time to get enough on the ball to throw it away?
Probably not.
Is the problem? I mean, he may have been trying to throw it in his direction, but over his head.
And then it would have been intentional grounding. So it's bad play calling. No reason you should be running a flea flicker at the 10.
I mean, that's the thing. But this is that Urban Meyer offense, though, man. There's all these little stupid plays like that. And then we're going to throw it 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage. And we think that we're going to be able to run some kind of bubble screen and all that. Dude, it ain't going to work in the NFL. That only works in college because, probably 60% of the folks that play in college are never going to play ever at the next level. Then you got 30% that might play at the next level if they get better or try or work hard and improve themselves. But that play only works in college when you have superior athletes on the outside and they're going in there and they're embarrassing folks on the inside. So, I mean, in the NFL, everybody's great. Everybody's great. So why are you not using these receivers are professional route runners in the NFL. So why are you not using them? You're not allowing them to run any routes. It's just ridiculous, man. Yeah. And now you've allowed this to go on for so long. Now Trevor Lawrence and his receivers don't have any chemistry. as far as running routes and knowing tendencies and saying, hey, if this guy's running with you, just stop. I'll put it right on your back hip.
Yeah, we begged for them to run the rock more, which they actually did. James Robinson finished the game with 81 yards rushing and a touchdown, added 46 additional receiving yards. So that's good. Right here is a stat that I just found live on the air here. It says Next Gen Stats had the Jaguars win probability at 71% after James Robinson's touchdown that put them up 19-10. But that's when the coaching staff got too cute with a flea flicker that resulted in a bad play, a pick six. The pundits here continue to believe in Trevor Lawrence. They're doubting that he's getting put in a good spot.
So this is a continuation of a conversation we started on our college reaction show of, with the Clemson system that they have in place. Was Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne covering up a lot? And we've come to the conclusion, yes, absolutely. And to continue that discussion now, what I think has happened is I think it actually stunted the development of Trevor Lawrence, even as good as he is right now. My thing is, I bet you he didn't really get much better while he was at Clemson. And now he's stepping into a system that's not going to work in the NFL. It's pretty obvious. This is a college system that's trying to be run in the NFL, and the NFL defenses just aren't having any of it.
Yeah. I begged them to keep running the ball because it proved that they actually took the initiative this game. They ran 29 times for 159. That was good for 5.5 yards per carry. But honestly, watching this game from pillar to post, the Jaguars weren't the only team that had questionable decisions.
No.
Very strange coaching decision there at the end of the half when the Arizona coach went for a 68-yard field goal attempt that turned into Jamal Agnew from the Jaguars returning that kick 109 yards for a touchdown. And the previous week he had a return for 102. Agnew is a weapon for the Jags. How about that?
I mean, my thing is, do you think they really thought that he was going to make that? Or were they just trying to do it to run the timeout? Because they didn't want to throw a Hail Mary because they were afraid of what ended up happening. Because my thing is, if I'm only doing that for
a Hail Mary just gets batted down. Well, it's never returned.
That's my thing. I'm like, I don't understand why you even attempt a 68-yard field goal.
Don't get it.
I mean, don't get me wrong. We're going to talk about it here in a little bit. Apparently there's kickers out there that can kick it that far.
Yeah, man. But kudos to Arizona's D. I hadn't mentioned it yet, but they racked up 3 sacks, 2 picks, 3 forced fumbles, the pick 6. I mean, with the help of the Jaguar scheme, congratulations, I guess.
Yeah.
The Jaguars kicking situation continues to look bad. Josh Lambo on the season is 0 for 3 in field goal attempts. He missed another 2 extra points this week. They brought in 2 extra kickers on Monday for tryouts. That's unfortunate, man. Josh Lambo was very good, and then he had this injury last year, and he hasn't been the same.
You know what that means? It means he'll probably be on the Titans roster next year.
And he'll probably, or maybe this year.
Maybe this year.
Maybe boom.
If he ends up being released,
yeah,
that might be a kick in the ass for him.
And he may be booming.
Yeah.
Because he was released.
Trying to shove, He
was released then by the Chargers, and he's been nothing but fantastic for the Jaguars organization. He has the injury, and it's just mentally hasn't gotten over it. He's got plenty of legs still. The ball's getting there. He's like almost perfect on when he's kicking off the ball for touchbacks, but
right.
It's just a mental block, man. I don't know how much longer they're going to keep him, but transitioning to another kicker, when I'm looking at this Baltimore-Detroit game and I see Detroit's about to win this thing, absolutely about to win it. Baltimore escapes with a 19-17 victory, but before we even get to the kick, there were some question marks with this end of game sequence, which I wish Parker was here to talk about a little bit, because I'm not sure if you saw it or not.
I did not. I just heard about the kick.
But here's what happened leading up to the kick. So the Baltimore Ravens are lining up for a play, one more play just to get a little bit closer. You know what I mean? Instead of having the quote unquote Hail Mary from the 50. Play clock running, gets to 0. No snap. Snap. They get the playoff. So there was a lot of, if you look it up, there's a lot of there's controversy here about if it hits 0, does that truly mean 0? Or have the refs been taught to give these players that extra half second? But I swear to goodness, this was more than half a second.
So what I've heard in the past is what they do is you have the field judges watching the clock. He's watching the game clock. And as soon as it hits 000, quadruple 0, whatever zeros, all zeros, he then looks down 1/1000, and then it's delay of game. I don't agree with it.
It felt like an eternity watching it live on TV.
I mean, if it was that bad, I mean, in that situation, I mean, first off, you hate for a game to end that way. You would hate it. But I mean, at the same time, it's like, what are you supposed to do?
But I mean, they discussed this on a CBS postgame show, and they're like, look, it doesn't matter if it's the end of game sequence or 12 minutes to go in the first quarter. That's got to be called consistently the same. It doesn't matter the situation.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, that's really all that. Again, this is another situation. No one wants to be talking about the referees.
No,
the next day.
But they definitely were. But my goodness, Justin Tucker.
Oh God,
66-yard field goal, hits the crossbar, bounces up and in. I mean, this guy's ridiculous, dude.
Where were they snapping the ball from? Was it right on the 50 where they were snapping it from? It had to be, right? No, it'd be like the 42, 40. Yeah.
Because they usually line up 7 yards back.
Yeah.
But
golly,
good grief.
What a leg from probably, dare I say, the best kicker in the game right now. If one of the best, if not the best, I'd say.
I mean, most are mentioning those 3 letters, HOF. And you don't really hear that when it comes to kickers.
Not for an active kicker.
Hey, they are my Super Bowl pick out of the AFC, so I enjoyed seeing them win. But Detroit, that's bad luck, boy.
Yeah,
bad luck.
Tough situation.
Kansas City falls to 1-2 with a home loss to the Chargers. I mean, coming into the season, Patrick Mahomes never loses in September. He never throws picks, but he's doing an awful lot of both.
Yeah. For the longest time, we were just all riding this train with Patrick Mahomes and advertisement on the thing here, that he was just, almost unbeatable. And, for the first time in his career, we're kind of looking at it like,
Parker called them the Alabama of pro football.
Yeah, I know. And we're looking at it now. It's like, through 2 picks, maybe starting to get a little too cute with some stuff, a little bit predictable. And they have Edwards-Helaire that sometimes they use, sometimes they don't. I think finally they were forced into a situation where they had to use it because Mahomes just didn't seem to have his good stuff on this particular instance. But, hey, a guy we'd been talking about,
Herbert.
Justin Herbert.
Yeah, man.
26 for 38, 281, 4 touches, no interceptions. He managed the game. That's a professional quarterback game right there where we're managing the game, getting good production. Didn't really establish the run. So, this was all on Herbert right here. So, it's not like we had a guy that was busting out 150 yards rushing on the Chargers side.
Yeah. Quick shout out to Coach Andy Reid. We know that you're admitted after the game, and he has a full release, clean bill of health there. But anytime you see these coaches going in, you kind of just think about it. They're not going to.
Tremendously stressful job. Yeah. Tremendously stressful job in the NFL. Like we've talked about, the coaches are a big part of it. So, it's tremendously stressful for these guys, and Andy's been doing it for a long time. So, yeah. Get better, big guy.
Another reason why all of you want to listen to our picks show is that just like in our college picks, this panel combined 3-0 for our underdog picks. When we're picking an underdog to just win straight up, Blake and I went with Cincinnati, and they did that. They went into the house of Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh falls to 1-2 with a loss to the Bengals. Joe Burrow.
Man, I love watching Joe Burrow play football. Joey football. That's what I'm going to start calling him. Joey football. I mean, hey, stat line's not that impressive, but dude, he has lit a spark in the Cincinnati faithful. He has Joe Mixon behind him, running the ball that, that's going to help, obviously. And he manages the game pretty well. I mean, he was 14 of 18. Yeah, he had an interception, but, he didn't do too much to hurt the team. And he just keeps leading these guys. And that's something that the Bengals honestly haven't had in a long time as a leader on the field.
No, and I'll get to watch them from pillar to post this coming Thursday when the Jaguars play on Thursday Night Football against the Cincinnati Bengals. So I'll do some more research around Cincinnati and
absolutely
talk to them more in depth on our NFL prediction show.
And by the way, Ben Roethlisberger dropped back 58 times.
That's way too much for that man.
I mean, when are they just going to give up on this?
You don't have to give up on Ben, but that's way too much.
Oh, I mean, look, Najee.
Run the ball, man. He's the only running back.
40 yards rushing, 102 yards receiving. Najee was the leading receiver.
I'm looking over there. Where are the other running backs?
What? Roethlisberger's the only other one with a running stat.
Good Lord.
This is insane.
That's horrible.
I don't know, man. I think that I don't know if they've given Roethlisberger too much rope with the offense, because I know that the offense is very, very centered around him and he has a lot of say in it. But man, I don't think that they can continue to run the offense the way they're running it and expect to be successful.
Yeah. Well, the Rams, one of Parker's favorite teams, they improved to 3-0 after playing host and beating Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Bucs 34-24 in what we called a possible NFC title game preview. Parker adds for this game here, he says, I should have picked the Rams as my Super Bowl team when we were picking the Rams versus Tampa Bay. Matthew Stafford is legit, and he'll continue to ride that Stafford train. I'm not on board yet, but it's impressive.
Absolutely. I mean, Stafford 27-38, 343, and 4 touches, no interceptions. Managed the game really well. This was a great game. 2 heavyweight teams, man. Brady and Stafford, he doesn't really like Stafford. Brady is 41 of 55, 432 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions.
Hey. Who ran the ball for the Bucs? Was that Tom too? Is he doing everything?
Yep. For the Bucs, he was their leading rusher.
No.
14 yards rushing was their leading rusher. Ronald Jones II had 11. Leonard Fournette had 8 yards. Chris Godwin had 2 yards. Yeah. I mean, this is a trend now in the NFL. It seems like that they're just no. I mean, if they don't have a running back, they don't really care.
I mean, I mentioned it in our prediction show. I said the Rams allow 121.5 per game on the ground, but the Bucs have no, and I underlined the word no running game at 67 yards per game, but if you're telling me Tom Brady is the leading rusher in a game, issues, that's horrible.
I mean, you look at the rushing stats for both teams in this game, barely eclipsed 100 yards combined between the two teams. The Rams had 76 yards. The Bucs had 35. So, I mean, there was no running going on here. This was just a bomb fest. And, hey, it made for an interesting game.
Rams take it. Matthew Stafford. And before we go from this reaction, this is a team that we haven't talked about. Maybe it's time to. How about them Cowboys?
Man, I've been ordered by the wife.
How about them Cowboys?
To bring the hat out here. Make sure that the Cowboys get represented here. I want to know this. I mean, why are more people not talking about the Cowboys?
They've played at Tampa, at the LA Chargers, and then just versus Philadelphia at home. They've started the year 2-1. more than their start at 2-1, my personal favorite story about this entire team is the return of the quarterback, Dak Prescott. He is completing 77% of his passes on the year, 878 yards, 6 touchdowns, 2 picks, and 110.1 rating. What a comeback.
Dude, it's impressive. I mean, his numbers in this game weren't spectacular, but he managed the game. He used every tool that he had. 21 of 26, 238, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Used Zeke. He had 17 for 95 yards rushing. Tony Pollard got him 60 yards too. I mean, dude, he's using all of his weapons. Schultz, the tight end, had 80 yards. He was their leading receiver. Dude, I mean,
we're talking about a guy that's not even on the radar, and they're still using him.
Yeah.
Over 80 yards and 2 TDs. Oh,
exactly.
my gosh.
I mean, dude, he is spreading it around. I mean, I knew this, and when he was in college, I knew he would be a good NFL quarterback, but man, I didn't see him being this good. But
holy moly. Yeah. I mean, Zeke seems to be warming up a little bit. In game 1, he had 33 yards, game 2, 71 yards, last night, 95 yards. So he's coming into it. Amari Cooper and CD Lamb have combined for 440 yards and 3 touchdowns on the year. The pieces are there. The question mark remains the same, is the defense. And, we should have at least called them out a couple of times on these reaction shows, but how about them Cowboys?
Yeah, I mean, the other question I have is in this game, they allowed 4 sacks. I wonder how, I'm looking it up right now, how many sacks they've had this year, because that is one concern I have, is can they keep Dak upright? Now that Dak is back, can he stay upright? So I'm looking it up here for you guys.
I'm going to quote, while you're doing that, I'm going to quote Parker, what his thoughts about the Cowboys. He goes, and do the Cowboys have a defense? If so, they could be scary good. So, I mean, we all recognize the O.
Yeah. So what they get, Dak's been sacked 7 times. So
not bad.
Not bad, actually. May have just been a fluky kind of situation. Yeah, we'll see about that D. That's the biggest concern that everybody's got, right?
Yeah.
So
the D and D.
The D and D.
That's all I got, man.
Yeah, man. It's been a really weird week in football as far as underdogs winning and crazy scores. I mean, it's been an interesting year so far. You know, the run doesn't seem to be as important anymore, and star quarterbacks are just stepping up left and right. So
Yep. And rookies are still being rookies.
Absolutely. And bad coaches are being exposed.
Yep. Titans all alone in the AFC South, as they should be, at 2-1.
Yep. Hey guys, thanks for joining us again for this reaction show. We invite you to join us again on Thursday for our NFL prediction show, or Friday, I guess, actually. We're recording on Thursday. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at DDS Sports Talk. Leave us a comment. Leave us a like. Go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Leave us a like and comment there on what you think about the week prior. Other than that, man, you got anything?
Nope. It's time to get into the war room, do some studies so we can have some solid picks coming up.
Absolutely. All right, guys. You be well.